Hey there, YouTube. I hope you guys will join me today to read a little bit of hate mail. I know I took a couple of days off because I had some other things to do and I wanted to spend a little time relaxing and just sort of hanging out with the family. So I figured I would get back into the grind and hang out with you guys, get your guys' thoughts, same old, same old. So without further ado, during this break, I did continue to watch the comment section and watch the traffic flow to the channel. And what I noticed is that a lot of Cynthia G supporters have noticed my Cynthia G videos. And man, is the hate mail pouring in. I gotta tell you, as someone who's a registered independent, someone who holds views from both the left and the right, I'm always shocked to see that it's always the left who's making emotional appeals, who's telling us, what we should be doing based on what's morally right, are always the first to go tell you to drink a glass of bleach, are always the first to call you a hate monger for saying that we need to be reasonable, are always the first to call you a racist or a bigot, or basically tell you to go die. It's what a wonderful world we live in. But I figure, we'll spend a little time, we'll read some of the hate mail. Links provided, or not links provided, screenshots provided. Here we go. From Master Squitter, the Misadventures of Redemption doesn't even possess the minimum amount of intelligence to even define in his own words exactly what a racist is. Yet he tosses the terms around carelessly about others. Well, the beauty of the world we live in, and the beauty of the tech age, I don't have to define it in my own words. I can use the pure, unadulterated, unmitigated dictionary definition of racism, racist, bigoted, prejudice. I can use those things in their purest form to communicate to others. That's why I put the screenshots on screen and then I interpret them. Plain and simple. As you can see, once again, the definition of racism is a belief that race is the primary determinant of human traits and capabilities, and that racial differences produce an inherent superiority in a particular race, or 2, a racial prejudice or discrimination. Now, I would like to see anybody provide one shred of evidence where I have ever made a value statement about another human being based purely on their skin. Go for it. You'll be looking a long time, I promise you. Here's Master Squitter bombing my comment section again. The mere fact that so many racist white supremacists are even discussing Miss Cynthia evidences that she must be saying something that is true about whites, that they feel so compelled to respond to her. LMGDAO. Them clowns are just too obvious. What? Are you even speaking English? I mean, and to boot, it's edited, so God only knows what they said initially. But, when somebody makes an extraordinary claim about you, especially one that is so hostile and so degrading and so disrespectful, you sort of do have to respond to it. It's not the sort of thing you just leave and don't say, oh, well, they think I'm a racist and they want to kill everybody that looks just like me just because I'm white. So, no big deal. I guess I'll just let that slide. Yeah, nah, fuck that. Randy Burroughs says, you crackers stole America. This land does not even belong to white people. Go back to Europe. Well, gosh. I've lived here my whole life. I've never spent any time in Europe. I've never even been to Europe. I mean, I did do a 2-hour stay over in Germany twice, so I spent a grand total of 4 hours in Frankfurt, Germany. Does that count? Should I move there? Fuck, man. Podgemod says, I support Cynthia fully. White supremacy is spiritual. It's that deep. It's time blacks fought back on white supremacy. While whites control everything and have never paid for their wrongs, they are still subjugating black and brown people. They want black to scream peace. Fuck that. It's time for war. Let's get into why that is incredibly retarded. As you can see from this handy dandy US population census pie chart in 2013, the most recent one available, you will see that of the US population, whites make up 62%, while blacks only make up 13%. In fact, even if you got the Hispanic Latinos, the Asian Pacific Islanders, and those of two or more races, as well as the Native Americans, you would still be vastly, vastly outnumbered in a war. Those are bad odds. Why would you want to lead your community into a war with white people? Why does that make any sense? How hopeless and ridiculous would that be? And just to put further emphasis on my point, here's a census chart that shows firearm ownership by race between the black race and the white race. And as you can see, on average, our firearm ownership is twice as much. So why would anybody with any level of intelligence encourage anybody in either community to go to war? But especially if you're in a community that is vastly outnumbered and vastly outgunned. In military terms, we consider that an all-out loss. You don't have the numbers or the firepower to do it. This is the reason that we're not concerned about it. It's the reason we're not worried. Really, what we all want to do is live peacefully. At least those of us who have our sanity. You know, and that's what brings me to this other point. It is absolutely amazing to me that any human being who can manage a heartbeat and at the same time figure out how to breathe in and out doesn't have the basic common sense to realize that that's a losing situation. Doesn't have the common sense to realize that the vast majority of us just want to live our lives. That most of us have no interest whatsoever in enacting or engaging in any level of violence towards black people for the specific reason or even the unspecified reason of being black. We don't care. We don't want to live that way. In fact, people like me strive to make sure that normal folks don't have to live in violence. That's the benefit of being in America, is that you don't have to spend your everyday in violence. You can just be a normal person living your normal everyday life, while other people like myself and police officers and firefighters and first responders have to deal with what little violence there is. It's what allows you to live your carefree life. In fact, having been in the military, what I did and the ideals that I hold are what allow you to have the ridiculous opinion you have. You're welcome. Tim Abadov, I hope I pronounced that right, is a pretty special one. To date, he's the only person that I've ever banned from a YouTube channel ever. I did try to respond to his comments in earnest. However, he was going from video to video, basically spam downvoting and you know, more or less just, you know, running out slurs, cursing, name calling. Even made some statements about my time in the military that were far less than flattering. And he was just going on and on and on and on and on from video to video to video, and literally was posting in other videos while I was responding to other comments. By the time I got there, there was about 12 of them, all of which I had to get rid of all but 4. Because they were just completely way out of line. And I'll let people come and comment and even say negative things about me, but some of them were real far out of line, and I mean to the point where they needed to be reported. But here's one of the gems that comes out of his mouth. He says, this loses its fucking point when there have been dozens of cases of white people, white grown men slinging their guns around and actively being confirmed to have killed dozens of people, get apprehended peacefully without suffering so much as even wounds. White people can murder a dozen and get away without any harm, but a black boy, a literal child, is seen with a BB gun and he's gunned down on sight. Darian Hunt just had a toy sword and he was gunned down from behind. John Crawford had a BB gun and he was shot down without any chance to even drop it. But this was an open carry state. In the exact same Walmart, white people have been walking in with AKs strapped to their backs. If you don't think something racial is happening here, you're fucking crazy. Or you hate black people and think they deserve this uneven treatment, this murder without case. This is a fucking child. This could have been your son, but because he has more melanin than you don't care. You're a sorry excuse for a human being, and I hope you rot in hell. Wow. Okay, first of all, I do care. Okay. Same thing happened in the state where I live, except here it was a couple of white boys who were playing airsoft in a place they shouldn't have been. And, airsoft, if you don't know what they are, they're replica weapons. Very fun sport. But because of the appearance and the realism and even the accurate weight of the weapons, you pretty much by law have to play at an organized field. And in fact, in the state I live in, by law, you have to carry them in a gun case when you're not on a field or on the premises of a field, and when you're not in your state. In fact, even right now, there's a bill going through that's to be passed where they're going to force the airsoft market in this state to make all of their guns neon colors. That's going to be the law. They're going to have to be neon colors so that there's no chance of it ever happening again. That's how serious it's gotten. This happens to people of all races who play airsoft. It's not a new problem. It's not a new thing. Ironically, though, when it happens to white people, the white community says, well, it's sad, it's messed up. The kids should have been playing where they were supposed to be playing. Their parents should have taught them better than to be carrying those things around in open public where they can get mistaken for somebody toting a gun. And the black community, they said nothing. Silence. So when I start seeing these emotional tropes, it's really hard for me to take it seriously. It's like, okay, listen, if you're gonna approach that with me at all, you need to approach it from a realistic point of view, not from some ridiculous accusatory point of view. I've never spoken about this issue, haven't even gotten to this issue, haven't touched this issue yet, so how can anybody presume to know how I feel about it? I play airsoft. I follow the rules so that I don't have to worry about getting gunned down by the police. Is it sad? Hell yeah, it's sad. Those are innocent children. Did the cops have any way of knowing? I don't know. I wasn't there. Were you? Were you there? As somebody who's been in close conflict with other human beings in the past, when I was deployed, I can tell you emergency situations like that happen very quickly. Oftentimes, all you have is the opportunity to act on instinct alone and nothing more. So to presume without evidence that it's based on race, it's just an unintelligent decision. And to be honest, I don't care what a person's skin color is. It doesn't matter to me. Every person I meet is judged on their merits alone, the sum of their experiences. So I find it a bit astonishing when I'm doing a video and I'm saying, hey, guys, I think it's wrong that Cynthia G wants to murder somebody simply because they're white. And then the comments I get are, you're a racist. What? What kind of insanity is that? Furthermore, I would understand this comment more if I had done a video about this topic. But people like to sort of disassociate the actual topic at hand, bring up things that are unassociated with it, and use unfair emotional appeals, and basically just emotional tropes and lack of logic to try to get their point across without even ever finding out my opinion. This guy tells me I'm a terrible human being and he hopes I rot in hell. Does he know my opinion on racism? I don't think he does. When we get down to it, is there racism in this world? Of course there is. Of course, there's a lot of racism. There are racist white people, there are racist black people, there are racist people of every race in this country. Is anybody being systematically abused? Not on a large scale. There are too many checks and balances in place to keep that from happening. Does it happen occasionally? I'm sure it does. Am I aware of any of it? No. Have I experienced everyday racism from white people? Yeah, I've seen it. Do I support it? No. Do I say something when I see it? I do. It's not something I'm cool with. It's not something that I like. But yet, these people come to my channel and presume that I'm a racist simply because I happen to be speaking out against somebody who just happens to be black, who happens to be promoting a message to hate people based on race alone. Yet I'm the racist. And what I think is funny is you guys come and you try to downvote my videos like crazy. Some of my Cynthia G videos now have like double the downvotes than the upvotes, and as if you think that that's going to discourage me or it's going to bring my video down in the search ratings. It doesn't. It doesn't. You need to go do your research on YouTube SEO, because when a video that has no responses, no likes, no dislikes shows up below a video that only has dislikes, you boost me every time you do that. And you're not going to discourage me from talking about this. You're not going to shut me up. In fact, if anything, I'm more inclined to talk about this. If anything, this only convinces me that this problem is a bigger problem than I thought it was. That I have to stay this course. That I have to continue talking about this subject in order to continue spreading a message that will bring people together, not drive them apart. With that said, I want to point out a couple of things that I think everybody ought to know about. Meet Robert Mugabe, elected president of Zimbabwe in 1980. In the mid-1980s, they had an uprising, and an estimated 20,000 civilians died during that period. In fact, it's such a prolific event that it's got its own name that I can't pronounce because I'm white. So you'll just have to deal with that. So I find it's funny when people are making complaints about people who are mentally ill going around killing dozens of people. This happens in other places in prolific numbers. That mentally ill person is allowed a platform where they get control of entire swaths of land and then kill people prolifically. Prolifically. Not dozens, tens of thousands. So while it's easy to make the claim that white people are mentally ill and they're crazy and they're all supremacists and they're going out killing black people by the dozens, you know what? You can make that same claim about any race. You can make it about the Russians. You can make it about China. You can make it about any other country. In fact, dozens of countries have committed genocide. The trick of it really is to keep people like that from getting a platform of power, not people of a race, but people who are mentally ill, to prevent them from getting a platform that will allow them to kill people in droves. Meet Idi Amin, the commander of the Ugandan army. He seized power in a military coup in 1971. He ruled Uganda for 8 years, during which time he earned the nickname the Butcher of Uganda for his brutality. According to Amnesty International, Amin was responsible for the death of 500,000 people during his rule. He engaged in ethnic purging of the Akoli and Lengo people throughout Uganda and in his own army, as he was constantly paranoid about being overthrown. 500,000 people ethnically cleansed. 500,000 people dead at the hands of this black person. And you're going to try to make the claim that all white people are bad, all white people, all white people, all white people. And then I'm sure you could come back and say, well, Hitler killed 6.2. Yeah, he was mentally ill. Just like Idi Amin was mentally ill. Just like Robert Mugabe was mentally ill. Just like these active shooters in America are mentally ill. The common trait is mentally ill, not race. Basic common sense. So, for all the haters out there, I just want to say, fuck you. I'm not going to stop. I'm going to keep speaking my mind. You're not going to guilt me into shutting up. You're not going to make me feel bad for not feeling guilty about every little thing that a white person does, just like you don't feel guilty about every little thing that a black person does. I'm not going to sit back and watch you bitch and complain your way to the top. It's not going to happen. So you're going to have to deal with that. If you enjoyed the video, I want to hear from you. Let me know what you think. Let's talk about it. If you're not a psycho and you disagree with me, that's okay too. Come on by. We'll talk about it. I do. I want to know what people think. But I want to have respectful conversations, not people fucking screaming curse words and slamming each other. I want to have a respectful conversation. Can we do that? Would that be cool? Because that's what I would like to do. If not, that's cool too. I'll just troll you. I'm good with that. Not a problem. But don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and comment. Talk to you guys later.